College football fans, do you have any idea what's going on in Arizona with Wildcat football? Bear down. This is getting serious. This is getting fun. It's crazy. Yes, Shireen, we'll get to you in just a second. I got to explain to the people that didn't see the score, the highlights tonight. 58-37. Arizona beats Washington State, and they have defeated a top 15 team in the country. And let's see, they led 30-27. It's pretty close at that point. Then they march on to the win and run off a 21-3 run there in the fourth quarter. Shireen Ryan, Zona Zealots, here to break it down and tell us all about it because it was on the Pac-12 network, so I didn't see it. I saw some highlights, but this is a crazy game. So let's dive into it, Shireen. Thanks for jumping on board here.
Oh, no problem. I'm so hyped. You have no idea. So I got to point out a couple things. 4 consecutive wins, all on the Pac-12 network. So CBS Sports and Rick Neuheisel said he couldn't talk about Khalil Tate because he can't show any highlights. That's ridiculous, personally. So no one's seen Tate on the East Coast, it seems, but he's starting to get into the conversation. And then 4 straight wins, which makes us 6-2. So now Arizona's bowl eligible with like a whole bunch of games to go. And then we play USC next weekend. And if they continue to win and beat ASU, which is always a great thing for us, then it'll be like the Pac-12 championship next Saturday.
Okay, Shireen, let's not get ahead of ourselves. We'll talk about the USC matchup here in a second. Tell us about this game because there were so many crazy big plays in this game. If you love box scores and stats, if you're a stats nerd like me and you missed the game, check out the highlights and also look at the box score because if you're a football junkie that consumes numbers, this has a lot of crazy numbers, but the play on the field, tell us about that.
So Khalil passed for 275 yards.
Hey, Shireen, we have lost Shireen. So I'm going to wait for Shireen to come back on since we're going live here. And hopefully she is noticing that we're locked up and she'll come back on. I'll let you know, people that are watching right now, that Washington State ran 101 plays in this game. So Arizona gave up a ton of yardage, 656. They gave up 32 first downs to only 13 for Arizona. So how in the world did Arizona score 58 points on 13 first downs against 32 for Washington State? Well, it was a classic example of huge plays against just dink and doink and gaining 3 and 4 yards at a time. Luke Falk benched after a 13 for 23 start. He threw a touchdown but was largely ineffective. But his replacement, Tyler Hilinski, went 45 for 61. This was a Mike Leach kind of game. Threw the ball 84 times in this game for 602 yards, and his team lost by 21 points because Hilinski threw 4 INTs. Khalil Tate, Arizona quarterback, goes off again as a runner in this one with 146 yards rushing. J.J. Taylor went nuts in this one as well. Shireen is calling me right now. Hopefully she... we're just going to have to let this thing record. And folks, if you're on with us right now, so this is the raw cut. This is what you get right here. I'm going to call Shireen so she can jump back on and finish out the analysis here. To an automated. I guess not. So it looks like it's Mark Rogers TV analysis of the Arizona game that I didn't see against Washington State. But the Wildcats now 6-2. I'm making out my top 25 right now as we speak. I'm considering 31 teams, and Arizona might make the top 25 that I'll release tomorrow. J.J. Taylor went on a run of 4 carries for like 140 yards or something crazy like that. He's an emerging star in the Pac-12, and this is just an incredible story. I saw a listing of the highest paid coaches. Hey, Shireen.
I don't know what happened. The video call ended because the connection was lost.
That would be for you. I'm still going.
Oh, you are? Okay.
But now,
Yeah.
but now it's dark. Is that better?
There you are. Yes, we're still recording, so everybody's seeing all of this.
It's not live. It's live?
Yeah, this is all live. We do these live.
I'm sorry, I got too excited and then my internet decided
when you see the replay, you're going to see me getting up for the phone and all sorts of different stuff.
So sorry. Okay, so Lucas Haversick kicked a 57-yard field goal.
57.
57. His longest ever was 65, and he did it with, like, I think 3 seconds to go or something in the half. So that was really exciting. Another very exciting thing was that Colin Schuler, who was a Pac-12 Player of the Week for defense last week, he caught an interception. He's a linebacker. He caught an interception. He ran for 66 yards for a pick six. That was, like, amazing. I think he was channeling Khalil and J.J. Taylor. And I want to tell you about J.J. Taylor. Another player we were talking about last year was J.J. Taylor. J.J. Taylor had a 62-yard touchdown run, and then he ran for 79 yards, and then another 3 yards for another touchdown. So that was J.J. Taylor. Now he's out of Cathedral, I believe. He went to Cathedral or Centennial. He went to Centennial High here in Southern California. And then we had Jamie Nunley. Now, I was telling you last season, I was begging Rich Rod, please play the tight ends, please play the tight ends. And most of the reason was because Jamie Nunley and I would DM each other, and he would ask, how many tight ends have made plays? And I would say none, like they didn't pass to a tight end. And so now he's playing, and it's the year of the tight end because he had a 48-yard touchdown pass, and then he had another 68-yard pass completion for the tight end. So the Rob Gronkowski School of Tight Ends is back in session at the University of Arizona.
Yeah, Nunley only caught 2 passes, but those are the 2 passes. They were huge in this game.
Yeah, I mean, what is that? If you add that up, it's 1,616?
Good math. I'm just looking at the box score. It says it right here, 116. So just to get the kicking situation straightened out, I want to let everyone know out there that Josh Pollock is the regular kicker. He kicked all of his field goals, all of his extra points, but obviously he doesn't kick the extremely long field goals. And then Haverlick, is that his name?
I think it's Haversick.
Haversick. 57 yards. That was the only field goal that he's made this year. I just looked him up. He missed one other field goal, and that's the just second time that they brought him on.
And the record, I think, and I don't remember the person, but it was in 1998, and I think it was a 62-yard or 65. I think it was 62-yard field goal. Could be 62, 65. That was the record in 1998. So 57 in 2017. I mean, you're talking 19 years ago, somebody kicked a field goal that long.
So, Shireen, I don't exactly know how good this football team is. You know that I cover the nation coast to coast. You're locked in on the Pac-12, so I'm trying to scan everybody. Right now, I'm working on my top 25, my new top 25 for tomorrow. I'm considering 31 teams. I've got 31 teams listed. And Arizona probably is going to sneak in, but I'm not going to guarantee anything. But they are 6-2, and we know that they're better than Utah and Colorado. They're most likely better than Arizona State, even though they haven't played yet. Right. Now they beat Washington State, who is a top 15 team in the country that beat USC. This team is, if not a great team, they are extremely exciting.
Very exciting. Lots of yardage. And Washington, I think they passed for 500 yards.
602.
602, sorry.
They threw it 84 times. I was filling in everyone on the statistical part of this while you were off the line because that's all I could go with.
Yeah, well, you were great. You're great at doing that stuff. But, you know, Cal beat Wazoo too? And then we beat Cal, and then, I mean, it's just the Pac-12 South tears each other apart. The Pac-12 itself, you know, the win, Oregon State almost beat Stanford because they didn't have Bryce Love. And yet we're still talking about Bryce Love for the Heisman, but we are not talking about Khalil Tate. Come on now. He's got probably more yards. And I think the last I saw, he had more offensive yards than any quarterback in the country. I think we need to start talking about him.
Anyone out there that watches me on a regular basis, I promise you a Heisman breakdown here in the next few days. And I'm going to look at Khalil Tate, Bryce Love, and then obviously the guys in the other conferences to see Khalil Tate based on what the difference he's made. You can't just go by the stats. I think the thing that's important here is the difference he has made on this football team. It's night and day in terms of the energy he's infused, the leadership, and the playmaking ability.
Yeah, they were 2-2. They were 2-2. And although everybody was playing hard, they were very upset they weren't winning because they were making mistakes. But now, you know, he's got everybody going. At the end of the game last week, remember I was talking about, he went up to Colin Schuler, the linebacker, and he pumped him up before the last play of the game. And Colin went in there and broke up the play for the two-point conversion, and we won the game. And then Colin became the defensive player of the week for the Pac-12. I have a feeling I think that Khalil's going to four-peat. I think he's going to be the Pac-12 player of the week again. I would be surprised if he wasn't.
Well, he threw for 275 and he ran for 146, and he had like 4 touchdowns.
Right.
So and that's pretty crazy. I don't know what happened with Washington, UCLA exactly. I can't imagine anybody outdid that performance. As you mentioned, Oregon State almost pulled off a win, should have against Stanford. Nobody was outstanding in a 15-14 game. Right. Arizona State, USC are playing right now. Sam Darnold's having a big game, but running and passing, nothing near the combination here with Khalil Tate. So I am going to stand by your prediction right there. I would lay money on it myself.
Yeah, and if you watch any film on Tate, you'll see he was the long ball all night long, right? But he also passes on the run. So he'll find the open man. And on the run, when you think the whole play is broken up, somehow he files a rifle pass right to the player. And there was a few drop passes tonight, but they were right on the money. Like the pass was right on the money, and the player either had it and dropped it or could have had it. And we thought he got targeted as well. We feel there was a play where he got targeted, and no one was looking at it for that.
And Shireen, this J.J. Taylor, he has really emerged as well.
Oh, yeah. He was great last year, and he broke his ankle in the beginning of the season. So he came back this season, and it's been slow for him, but this is his break. And what happened was he got called for targeting, trying to protect Khalil in a play in the first half of the last game, so he couldn't play the second half of the last game. So you don't see any stats for him in the last game because he was taken out because of a targeting call, which, again, we all felt wasn't targeting, but the Pac-12 came back and said, oh, no, it's targeting. So this time he got a chance, and he broke away. It's almost contagious, you know, because Khalil will turn on what we call it the rockets. I even put a tweet out there with a rocket launching. It's almost like he goes into the second speed, so he darts around and gets you to miss, and as soon as he sees the open field, it's like, I'm out of there. And JJ picked up on that. Even Colin picked up on that today. I couldn't believe Colin looked like he was running out of steam, and then he outran everybody. You know? I don't know what to me, like, he's a linebacker that's a cornerback that, I don't know. He'll do anything for a win. And these guys are hungry. And Rich Rod, when he recruits hungry players. Players, he always says, that love the game. And everybody wanted to fire Rich Rod. Well, now he looks like he's 61 freshman, a redshirt freshman. He looks like a genius. He's 6'2". Everybody's wondering why he's getting paid so much. Well, it's Tucson, right? Who wants to? People don't fill the stands like they do in Alabama and Tennessee and whatever, So I think he's doing a damn good job, actually.
I was going to bring that up, Shireen, that I saw an article someone forwarded me this week that Rich Rod is the 5th or 6th highest paid coach in college football. You've got Nick Saban, Urban Meyer, Dabo Sweeney, Jim Harbaugh. Then you got Rich Rod.
Well, he's been there for 6 years, right? So they haven't switched him out. This is I believe, his 6th season. And he got incentives to stay. So there were times that they were going to pull him a couple of years ago. West Virginia was calling, I think, or South Carolina or somebody. But there was a bunch of teams calling him away, so they sweetened the pie to keep him in Tucson. And as long as he stayed, he got more and more money. So that's kind of what happens, right?
That's right.
Yeah, but he was on the hot seat. I'm going to say right now, there is no hot seat, okay? It's not hot. It's cold. There's a crown above it. He's dancing with his players. They're singing the Bear Down song. He probably is going to lose his voice tonight. I mean, this is total redemption. Arizona lost to Washington State last year in Pullman, 69-7. It was one of the most embarrassing things, and all those players came tonight to play. I guarantee you, Jacob Alcidic, Luca Bruno, all the seniors. Scooby Wright was in the crowd, and Paul McGlory was in the crowd, and Jeff Worthy was in the crowd. Homecoming's when all the alumni come back, and they all came back for this. So I'm sure they're all in the locker room, all having a party. I can't wait to see the video.
Yeah, so when the team gets hot, the seat cools down for the coach. That's how that works.
Yeah, and he even said that. He goes, look, all we have to do is win. We start winning, and people will be happy again.
Okay, here's the deal next week at the Coliseum, Arizona at USC. So this is how great college football is. It's late October.
Right.
6 or 8 weeks ago, Arizona was a blip on the radar of USC's path to the Pac-12 championship game.
Yeah, the easy win. Easy win, right?
We didn't talk about the Arizona game. We talked about the Stanford game. We talked about, out of conference Texas, Notre Dame. We talked about UCLA. We talked about these other games that USC would have to hurdle to get to the Pac-12 championship game. Right. And Arizona would have been the last game we would have mentioned. Now we have both teams, and we're going to somewhat assume that USC puts away Arizona State. It's 38-17 entering the fourth quarter right now. So the Trojans should win, but hey, anything can happen Pac-12 after dark. So it's only 3 touchdowns.
Dark.
And I don't know if you saw the Arizona State play at the end of the half against USC. It was a crazy, crazy Hail Mary play that they reviewed, and they had to bring the teams back out onto the field to kick the extra point. Check that one out. But anyway, USC should win. So both teams are going to be 4-1 in the division. And this is basically going to be, because nobody else has that kind of record, this is basically the championship.
Yeah, this is the championship. Whoever wins this will probably end up winning the Pac-12 South.
And you'll be there.
Unless they mess up completely or get. But USC is kind of decimated. So the fact that they're beating ASU, who's had some great wins lately, I mean, that's a lot to say for the Trojans, actually. They were talking about their big injuries and stuff like that.
And just to be clear and be accurate, USC, after they beat Arizona State, would be 5-1. They played one more game. They actually have a bye week at the end of the season before the Pac-12 championship game, which is kind of odd. They just don't play the last week of the season when everybody else plays. So for Arizona, we can't look ahead of USC, but that's for the division championship. But let's say you win that game. Of course, it's not all won there. You would have to continue to win against the likes of Oregon State, Oregon, and Arizona State. So those are 3 games that you would be favored to win. I think Vegas is finally catching up that you're good, and you'd be favored to win those games.
The Territorial Cup is more than just a game, and that's usually at the end of the season. And Arizona's won it the last 2 years. Arizona State is hungry, and it's in Arizona State. So that's going to be one of the harder games to win, although it'll be one of the sweetest wins. And we haven't been beating USC lately. So don't forget, Khalil Tate was recruited by USC heavily. In fact, right up until signing day. So his first start ever as the 3rd youngest quarterback to ever start a game at 17 was against USC, and it didn't turn out very well. It wasn't a good game at all. I mean, scored the first rushing touchdown, and that was the end of it. The rest of it was kind of difficult. He didn't have much of an O-line. The team was decimated. The coach didn't really want to play him, but he had no options. That's why he has 7 quarterbacks this year. So Khalil's going to want redemption, let's call it, against the Trojans. And he is hot right now. He was a little bit ill at the beginning of the week. But I was reminded, I went to his high school this weekend for football, talked to his coaches, and they reminded me. They said, Shireen, remember that game against Chaminade, or I think it was Chaminade, where he had a fever and he balled out of his mind? That's going to happen this weekend. So his coach from high school told me on Friday night that this was going to be one of those games, because when Khalil gets in this mode, there's no stopping him. And he was right.
Okay, folks, you can tell that Shireen's extremely invested in this football program, the entire athletic program there at the University of Arizona, but specifically right now, the football team. Even when they were 3-9, 1-8 in the Pac-12 last year, I would have her on. We would talk Arizona football, and she was totally sold out, invested. So this is not a bandwagon situation. She loves this football program, but she's just excited. 6-2 and playing for the Pac-12 South lead next week against USC after defeating a top 15 team in Washington State, 58-37, extremely exciting game. So Shireen, we do this instant analysis with as many people as we can track down, and it was extremely fun to do it with you tonight.
Great.
And for anyone watching that's catching this record at the end, certainly go back on Mark Rogers TV on YouTube, subscribe to my YouTube channel for the best analysis in college football, and check out the whole deal. And you're going to see the rough cut with all sorts of chaos going on, but hang with us.
Sorry about that.
You'll see some good stuff there.
We're on both coasts. We're breaching the coastal divide. Mark's on East, and thank you for staying up. And I'm on the West Coast, so sometimes it just, but so thanks for bearing with us. And speaking of bearing, Rich Rod has been saying bear down, and he hasn't done that the whole 6 years I remember. He never tells the Pac-12 announcer when at the end of a game, he never turns around and says bear down, and he said bear down. Now, I've done it kind of embarrassingly on some of these calls where I say, thanks, coach, for the question, bear down, I get nothing back. But he's now saying bear down. So he's a happy guy. I'm a happy guy. Wildcats, let's go. Let's do this. So it's not just that I know, like you were saying, rah, I'm just for the team no matter what. No, I got to know these players over years, and I knew their potential. I knew Jamie Nunley's potential. I knew J.J. Taylor's potential. I knew Khalil Tate's potential. I knew these guys' potential. So thank you for saying that. I'm not a bandwagon. So thanks for pointing that out.
Not at all. So please catch Shireen Ryan. You can catch her on Zona Zealots with the very best in coverage of Arizona football right there. And subscribe to my humble little YouTube channel as well. We talk college football all the time.
Mark has it covered more than anybody else.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it, Shireen. Thanks for the enthusiasm and the insight. You give an angle that is unique and inexplicable.
Thank you. Inexplicable. Okay. I got it.
That's a compliment.
I know.
Thank you so much, Shireen.
All right. Bye. Bear down.